The courtroom fell into a silence so sharp it felt like it could cut right through bone. Sunlight poured through the tall windows, casting long, unforgiving beams across the polished floor, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. And in that glowing path stood a man who, by all accounts, should never have been there. His blue uniform was wrinkled, stained with the honest sweat of hard labor. His hands, usually steady on a mop handle, were trembling now as he clutched a stack of papers he barely understood. He was the only thing standing between a frightened woman and a verdict that would shatter her existence. His name was Jared Hollison. He wasn't a lawyer. He wasn't a hero. He was a single father who cleaned these floors for a living, a man who never imagined that destiny would violently shove him into the center of a millionaire's trial. But as the corrupt lawyer fled out the side door and every pair of eyes turned toward the janitor with the soft beard and warm eyes, the room held its breath. Before we continue, if you believe that everyone deserves a second chance, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from today. Jared had spent the last 6 years making himself invisible. He swept stairs and polished railings in the early hours of the morning, fading into the background while trying to raise his daughter, Marin, in the vacuum left by his wife's death. Life had been merciless to him, stripping away his dreams one hardship at a time until his entire world shrunk down to a lunchbox, a clean school uniform, and the desperate need to be enough for his little girl. But that morning, the background noise became the main event. Gregory Vance, a millionaire accused of destroying dozens of families, sat arrogantly while his assistant, Nara, trembled nearby. The scapegoat set to take the fall. Then chaos erupted. Vance's high-priced lawyer, realizing the ship was sinking, didn't fight. He bolted. He literally grabbed his briefcase and ran out the emergency exit, leaving a wake of shock and a terrified woman alone in the lion's den. Nara buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking with the weight of impending doom. Jared saw those tears. He knew that look. He had seen it in the mirror on the day he buried his wife. He had seen it in his daughter's eyes when she cried for a mother she couldn't remember. Against every instinct of self-preservation, Jared took a step forward. The judge's voice was like a whip crack, warning him this was a restricted space. But Jared's voice, though quiet, didn't waver. He whispered that she shouldn't be alone. Not like this. He admitted he wasn't a lawyer, just a man who had studied criminal justice for 3 semesters before life crushed his plans. He didn't ask to litigate. He just asked to stand beside her so she wouldn't have to face the darkness by herself. The judge, stunned by this raw display of humanity, allowed it. Jared stood by Nara, and for the first time, she breathed. But then, fate played its hand. Jared looked down at the papers the fleeing lawyer had left behind. His eyes, trained to spot the smallest specks of dirt, noticed something else. A timeline. A forged signature. A handwriting style he recognized from the complaint files he dusted every night. It was an inconsistency that high-priced lawyers had missed, but a janitor saw clearly. He raised his hand, not to argue, but to observe. That single observation unraveled the web of lies. The room shifted. The prosecution realized the truth. By the time the public defender finally arrived, the impossible had happened. The narrative had flipped, the millionaire was cornered, and the innocent woman was saved. When the gavel fell, the cameras didn't chase the millionaire, they chased the janitor. But Jared didn't want the fame. He just wanted to pick up Marin. As he walked out into the golden sunset, exhausted but light, his daughter ran into his arms. When she asked what happened, he didn't boast. He simply said he stood up for someone who needed it. Jared Hollison proved that you don't need a title, a suit, or a degree to be a hero. You just need the courage to care when everyone else looks away. Because in a world obsessed with power, kindness is the only true strength. Would you have stepped forward to help a stranger, even if it risked everything? Let us know in the comments below.